all of us are so used to electricity now, at least in Mumbai, that even if it goes off for just maybe 10 minutes, we become totally uneasy. Okay, because immediately our TV will go off. Okay, we will have darkness in the home. Okay, our cordless phones will go off. Then the recent this thing which Susita madam suffered. Okay, lift not working and this that sort of thing. So in Mumbai, at least we are so used to it, that we just cannot think of living without electricity. But then at the same time, what also happens is, many a times we get a sort of a shock, electricity shock, when suddenly our bills go. Many of our complaining was saying that हमारा bill is suddenly इतना हो गया. Okay, then it is very difficult to explain to them, saying that what has happened and all, because they are unable to this thing. So today's presentation, I have tried to make it so that you all understand the whole gamut behind how your bills are coming, etc. Now, when you have to look at the electricity, there are basically three parts of that. Okay, first part is the generation, second part is the transmission, and third is the distribution. Now, electricity today cannot be stored. Like water you store it in a dam, then you get it at home, again you store it in a tank. But electricity cannot be stored. You can store it to a little extent in a battery, like this, for your maybe when the main fails, but otherwise it cannot be. So electricity is continuously being generated. Whatever you are using today is continuously being generated at some other point. Now if you see the generation is done in a power station. Okay, and the power stations are not located normally near the point of consumption, but they are located normally at the point where the concerned fuel is available. Now if you look at the type of generations which are there, the first one is thermal, which is a not common one. Today in India about 85% of our generation is thermal, and that is coming either through the coal fired this thing, or oil or gas. Now gas ones, unfortunately, though we built a lot of power stations, but because of unavailability of gas, many of them are today lying shut down, sort of. That is the problem which we have. So we have to be today dependent more on coal or oil, okay, which have also the environmental aspect, because coal is a fuel which gives out lot of these gases and all that, the sulfurous gases and all that, which are also harmful to this. So it's not a good generation, but today unfortunately in India we are more dependent upon thermal. And the second one is hydro. Now hydro is the one where you use the water for generating the electricity. Now these hydro ones are normally dams which are built. Now if you have the first electricity which came to Mumbai came from Tata Power, which was at Khopoli. That is where they had the dam built, okay, the Lonavala, this one which was there at this, and from there through the pipelines the water is brought down and then it runs the turbines and through the electricity generated. So the first electricity which was generated was basically through hydro. So we have a number of hydro electric power stations, but they are all near to a river, where you can build a dam and there you can have this thing. Whereas the thermal power stations are normally what they call near to a pit head. That means where you have the coal mine. Wherever a coal mine is there you put the this one. So we have number of power stations which are run by mostly by NTPC or by the State Electricity Board. Most of the generation is done by the government only. Only for after around last 20 years, private people have come in, but still it is very low, the generation by them. Now the third one is nuclear. Now we also have nuclear power stations. Okay, one is at Tarapur, which is near us, this thing, and we have one at Rajasthan Power Station, Madra, this thing, Kudankulam and all that. Now nuclear power stations also can give you a very good electricity, but the problem with nuclear power stations is, one is the cost is very high of building a power station. Then the second problem is basically again the environmental angle. Okay, because though one is the danger, but you can take care of the danger, with this thing. But in case that one part is the fuel which is used there, the uranium fuel which is used in a nuclear plant, once that fuel is what they call a spent means the basic energy from that has been utilized for generating the electricity, but still whatever is left is still dangerous to the human being. So that has to be then stored in a place which is a safe place, so it will not affect us, because it causes radiation and it causes cancer. So that is why that is always a dangerous thing. So nuclear power stations have that. So that is why we have not gone whole hog into that. And certain countries like Germany and Japan have banned nuclear power. This thing, they have totally gone to this. So the recent trend of power generation is now the renewable, because this is what is supposed to be the environmentally friendly, and this is what we call it the sustainable power. The normal power which is generated through thermal, or nuclear, is not a sustainable power, because the coal which we have, the oil which we have, is all limited resource. After 50 years we may not have coal. So they say around 2050 the coal reserve may go out the way we are generating today. So if that happens, what do we do further? So we have to think of this thing, power which is today sustainable power, which can continue for long and without consuming our resources, and also taking care of the environment. So that is where the renewables come in, and today the one which is used is either solar or wind power or organic waste. The solid waste management, which we had some talks here in between and all that. But today the major emphasis is today given on the solar, and government is also pushing solar quite a lot. The solar power, which once upon a time costed somewhere around 16 rupees per unit, today is costing around 2 rupees 50 paise per unit. So much it has come down, and today it has become a sort of a reasonable priced power which you can use. Now, as I mentioned, electricity cannot be stored. So whatever is the electricity is consumed, the same electricity has to be generated at the same time. So there has to be a balance kept all the time, and that is kept by a network which is managed by the government. There is a grid which is there and all that, which I'll explain this in. So what happens is that the power which is generated in the power station is fed into what you call as a grid. You see all these transmissions. So that is where we come to the transmission. So whatever is generated power is generated at around, what do we call it, around 3300 volt, 3.3 kilovolts. That is this which is generated at the generation. Now that power may be generated anywhere. Now today what I am using in Mumbai may be generated at Trombay. So this one is the power is, what is done is, it is fed into a grid, what the transmission lines which you see and all that. So that is first made at a higher voltage from 3.3 kV to either 110, 220, 400, or the recent one is 750 kilovolt DC, and then it is brought to you, so that your losses are minimized. Otherwise what happens is, if you bring it at that voltage, there will be a lot of loss, and finally somebody has to pay for the loss, and who pays? Finally we pay. So that is why the voltage is this thing, and then it is brought down at this level. Then distribution. Now this is where really we are concerned. So at the distribution level, from the grid again, it is stepped down to this 33 kV, 11 kV, and then finally to 415 volts, 240, what we use here in our house. And who are all the distribution agencies today in Mumbai? I am not looking at. Normally all over India it is the state electricity boards which are managing. But in Mumbai these are the four which are managing this. So for the island city is BST, for the suburbs it is Reliance or Tata Power, and some part of the suburb, Mulund, Thane and all that, that is MSEDCL. Now the question is, who decides our tariff? Now we all complain, saying that no, our tariff is high, tariff is high. Who decides? Is this thing? So before 2003, in 2003 the Electricity Act 2003 came into existence. Before that, the states were given the power of deciding how much the tariff will be. So each state used to decide, looking at, because most of the power is generated by them only. So they used to decide that this will be the cost of the power which will be charged to you, and accordingly they used to give some subsidy and all that and decide that, and that is how the rates were decided. After 2003, the Electricity Act came into picture. The regulatory commissions came into this one, and they were given the charge of deciding the tariff. So every year, what the electricity people do, the regulatory authorities do, for this thing, Maharashtra it is MERC, okay, or Mumbai it is MERC who decide. So they ask for this inputs from each of these people, Reliance and all that. Then there is a public hearing which takes place where people are asked, saying that what they have to say about it. There are consumer organizations which represent there, okay, and those consumers, after hearing all that, their views, then they also go through all the costs which are there. Is a advertisement which is given in the paper before that, so people can study and come with their comments. So the hearing is done, and after that they decide the rates, and that is what becomes this for that next year. And afterwards we can't challenge it. We can challenge it to appellate tribunal, but normally once this thing decided, it is frozen. Now what are the different categories of the customer? Now these are the normal categories. There are also more, but I am not going into that deep. So one is LT residential, that is low tension residential. Second is low tension commercial, okay, that is for the shops and all that, residential. Then high tension residential, which is normally the big societies which have a substation. So they are given the power at maybe 11 kV and all that, and they have a substation in their own, this one, and that is that they call as ST residential. Then ST commercial, okay, again, and then same low tension and high tension industrial. The charges. Now if you look at the bill, okay, you will find these are this one. One is a fixed charge. That means whether you use it or not, once you have a connection, whether you are staying in the house or not, you will have to pay the fixed charge. So that is irrespective of this, whether consumption or not. And second part is a variable part, which depends upon the units which you use. Okay. Now there are slabs in that. So there are slab of 0 to 100 units, which is normally for the BPL category, normally for the then 100 to 300 units, which is the normal residential, this one which doesn't have this thing. 300 to 500 within residential, but a little more higher level, which have maybe a freeze, AC, etc. in the house, and above 500 units. Okay, these are the 5 categories. Now up to 300 units you are subsidized. Actually the rate, there is average rate, but what is done is below 300 unit the rate is kept lower to make it distinct. At above 300, then you are paying for those. So what is important is you have to ensure that you remain below 300. Then you are getting the benefit. The moment you go above 300, your rate suddenly jumps up. And that is for up to 300 units what you are consuming, the rate is same. But anything you consume above 300, the higher rate applies. Now what are the charges which are there? Okay, now this is where the confusion is taking place. People do not know. One is the energy usage charge, which is really the units which you use. Okay, and this is only really the controllable part in your hand. Okay, it depends on how much units you use, because as I told you, whether it is 0 to 100 or 100 to 300, this one, it will depend on that. Second charge which will appear in your bill, which you see, is wheeling charge. Now this was not there earlier, but now it has started showing even in the BST bills. It was showing in Reliance bill this thing. Now this is where a little technical thing comes into picture. Now what happens is that what came as a sort of a open access and this or that. That earlier suppose you are taking power from Reliance, you were bound to Reliance, you couldn't change. But then few years back the government came with this one saying that no, if you want you can go to Tata. Okay. Now what happened was that people changed from Reliance to Tata, but the whole network which was there right up to your house was still Reliance. The cable which is coming to your house is still Reliance. It is only the meter in your house which was being Tata. So what happened was Reliance went to MERC and said that if they are using our network, then they have to pay for that network. Who pays for that? So that is where the concept of wheeling charge came in. That though the Tata's power was cheap than the Reliance, but that wheeling charge was taken. Reliance came and said, no, if my network is being, I have to pay. I have to get that money. So that is what is the wheeling charge which appears, which people do not know. There's many people, when BST also started showing, then everybody came up saying that kya ho gaya, new charge. Then fuel adjustment charge. Now this charge again, what happens is when initially the tariffs are decided, there is some when the companies give this to MERC, their cost, they consider that they will be using so much coal, so much power, so much coal, this thing on oil, so much on gas, something like that. And based on some this thing, they submit that to the MERC, and MERC approves that. But actually what may happen is, for that particular month, maybe the coal price may go, because it varies, or instead of coal he may use oil during that month. Then what happens? Because his original calculation is based on some assumption. So then they go to MERC and they say, my calculation was based on that, but now what actually I have used is oil, which is at a higher rate. So MERC considers that and they allow them a fuel adjustment charge for that month. So that varies every month based on that. So that appears in your this thing as a fuel adjustment charge. So you may get also a negative sometime. That means you get a reduction also. It's not only that there is an increase. Because if suppose he has considered oil and if he has used coal, which is cheaper, then you may get a negative this thing also. This thing. Then next two are electricity duty and Maharashtra sales tax. Now this is something which you can't get away with. This is a government this thing money which you have to pay. Okay. Next one is what was appearing for BST. For the suburbs people, they happily lived for so many years, but BST people for nearly last 6 years have been paying this what they call it the TDLR. That is the Transport Department Loss Recovery. Now BST, unfortunately no other this thing had that, but only BST had got two wings. One was the electricity wing, one was the transport wing. And as you know, public transport normally makes a loss. Now when that loss was there, and when earlier before 2003 that loss was anyway being compensated by electricity, but nobody knew about it because state was looking into that. But the moment Electricity Act came into picture, that subsidy was stopped by the MERC. MERC said no, you can't use it because these two are separate. You can't put this loss onto the electricity wing. So MERC stopped it. So BST went to court, they went this one and Supreme Court and all that, and under some clause of BMC saying that it is local undertaking and all that, they were able to get this through, this thing, and for last about 6 years we have been paying, all island city consumers have been paying this. Only this year onwards again they have stopped it. But that is what was being paid by us for all these years. And there is a petition also pending in the court now asking for refund of that what is already paid. So if that also comes through, maybe we will get our money back. Yeah. Then ECS subsidy, that is they have a provision that if you pay through ECS payment, in that case they give you a subsidy which is very small, maybe 1% and all that. But that.
What about GST?
Which one? No, now that Maharashtra sales tax and all that will, So that. Now there are two which are not mentioned here, but which is again a technical, but which is called, which will appear in the Reliance bills mainly, which is called as the regulatory assets charge, RAC, which difficult for a common man to understand again. What happened was during the 2005 deluge, which happened, most of the Reliance substations got submerged, and their transformers and all they got damaged. So they had to replace it. Now suddenly they had to get a lot of use a lot of money. So what to do? Okay. So they went to MERC and said that we are having so much of this thing suddenly, so we would like that to be compensated. Now, your rate cannot go up straight away. So what was agreed as a special case was something what is called as a regulatory assets charge. So they were told saying that okay, you can recover it but not on one shot, but we will allow you to recover it over a period. Okay. So all the Reliance people are presently paying what is called as a regulatory assets charge. Okay, RAC. And then there is one more charge which is there, which is called as a cross subsidy charge. Now this again is a thing between Tata Power and Reliance. When this again was opened up, the field was opened up saying that you can change over, and lot of people changed from Reliance to Tata. What happened was most of the people who are high-end consumers, more power, they shifted to Tatas because the rates were low. Now what Reliance came to MERC and said that most of our high-end consumers have gone there, okay, and I am feeding to all these lower listing end people where it is subsidized this one. So whatever money I was getting, which I was compensating, that money is gone. Now what to do with that? How do I this thing? So it was allowed that as a cross subsidy charge for Tata Power consumers, that is for those who had gone to Tata Power, they were asked to pay that cross subsidy charge to Reliance because Reliance has to cross subsidize their own customers. Now this is what has made the whole thing very confusing for a common man. If you go through that your bill, this is where the problem comes, that we don't understand. And as I mentioned, the only thing which is in our hand is only that top one, the energy usage charge, and nothing more. You have to only control your consumption, nothing. Rest is all beyond you. Okay. Now I'll come to the dispute redressal mechanism. Now if you have a problem, that suppose this goes, suddenly bill goes higher and all that, what is this left to you? The mechanism left to you. So there is an internal dispute redressal center. Each of these thing, BST, Reliance or Tata, if you see your bill, their address is given there, which is an internal redressal center. So you have to go and appeal to him, saying that my bill normally is so and so, okay, within this unit, but suddenly this month it has gone up, and either your meter is wrong or this thing showing wrong and this. So please check my meter and all, and they will do that. And if they find that meter is wrong and all that, okay, then they will take corrective action. If they cannot, you have no other choice but to pay. What is the next step? Next step is, suppose you are not happy. Suppose your bill normally was about 1200 rupees or 1500 rupees. Suddenly in month it had gone to 12,000 rupees, and you go to that authority, he says no, you have to pay. The next is appellate authority, which is again available to you in the same with the same your distributor. You can go to the appellate authority and appeal there, and it may get solved. If it doesn't get this thing, then you have the electricity ombudsman. He is located in Bandra. Bandra, the office is ombudsman. So like the banking ombudsman and all that, this is again this which is available to a common man, that if he is not happy with the redressal which he has got from the distribution then you can go to the electricity ombudsman. Okay. And normally it will get settled that level. And you also have the district consumer forum also open. You can always go to the district consumer forum also in case you are not.
Can these complaints be made online or you have to physically take them?
Presently it is physical. It's not online everywhere. BST and all that
At all levels?
Yeah. BST and all that you have to still go and in writing you have to make the complaint. They haven't got online yet. Reliance I don't know, I'll have to check. Okay. But BST is still this thing. Then okay, this is where the redressal, the overall this is there. Then the further part, there are 2 slides which is there, which are talking about the saving, how you can cut down your bill. As I mentioned, only thing in your hand is saving your units. Okay. Now how to this one? So that my colleague Mr. Joshi from Modrag Mancha, he will talk about it.
Thank you, Ajit Shenoy. Well, now we have come to one point where whatever we have in hand, let's make use of it. Now, what is that in our hand? How do we control our consumption? How do we control our bill to be within 300 units? But let's say what is a unit? 1 unit means 1 unit is 1 kilowatt hour. That means if you have a geyser of 1 kilowatt, if you use it for 1 hour, it is 1 unit. Similarly, if you have a AC which consumes say 750 watts, then it will be 750 into 1 hour, but it is 0.75 unit. So this is what it is. Now we have different appliances, equipments in our house. Many times we ignore what is the power consumption. So we said, I got a fridge, I got an oven, I got a washing machine, and then that's it. We connect it and start using it, and we find at the end of the month, oh, my bills have gone high. Why? Earlier this was not the case. Now at the time of purchasing that equipment, if we find what is the star rating of that, each equipment is now compulsorily put up, they have to put up what is the star rating. If any equipment, maybe AC, maybe washing machine, maybe fridge, if it is having 1 star, that means it is less efficient machine. See, when I use washing machine, I want washing machine to wash my clothes. When I use my AC, I want my room to be comfortable, if not very chilled or cooling, at least comfortable. Likewise, it is for all the equipment. Now, when the equipment is efficient, the star rating goes up. Second star rating may give better efficiency, that means lesser consumption. Likewise for all the equipments. Now all the equipments what we are using domestically, they are required to put up these star ratings. Now normally 4 or 5 ratings gives a very good efficiency available in that brand. It may not be 100% because 100% there is no equipment available which is giving 100% efficiency. But that accepting that reality, when I purchase the equipment or the appliance, I should go for a higher star rating so that my consumption remains in the limit. Another thing what we find, that AC, which unfortunately in Mumbai we have to use almost every day in the night, if not also in the daytime. What do? It cools fine and then I get a big bill. Now what I have first I have selected a equipment which is say very good 4 star or 5 star, fine. But then when I control my temperature, if I put 20 degrees centigrade as a temperature for my room, yes, I feel yes, very good, cool and fine. But the consumption is very high then. If I slightly increase that to say 22 or 25, my consumption drops down. Because what happens, that air conditioning machine has a compressor and it has a thermostat which measures the room temperature when the airflow goes out. When you set that it to 20 degrees centigrade, naturally it starts working more and more, because in room AC or any AC you will find there is one unit which cools the air and the same air is unfortunately fed back so that the consumption reduces, and there is a fan. Fan gives you a blow of the air like this AC. This has a blow. This is only a fan part of it. This is not a actually cooling unit. Cooling unit somewhere outside. So if I use that at 25 degrees, naturally my consumption will come down. Similarly for the fridge. Many times, person like me, I tell my grandchild that, look, don't open quite frequently fridge. For the same reason, when I open the fridge, cold air comes out and the hot air rush is inside. It requires to work on to make it cool. So these are the small steps what we have to do. Another thing what we know is the lights. Now for example, we have tube light, we have CFL, we have incandescent lamps, and then that's it. What we can do. The consumption on say lamp is given say 40, 45 or 60 or 100 depending on what the intensity of brightness we required in the room. Now then came the tube light or the CFL. CFL is a small form of a tube light. It is definitely, if we have noticed that it gives much feeling light. Room gets filled up with a whole light like a sunlight, and we feel better. Now that light is measured, the unit of measuring the light is lumens. Because I say 60 watt means what? When it is an incandescent lamp, it will give certain lumens. When it is a tube light, it will give certain lumens. And now the new technology which has come is a LED, light emitting diode, used to emit the lumens or the light output. Now this has a capacity to give almost 10 lumens per watt. No, not 10. I think it is Now, what is the significance of that? When I use this light, it consumes, say for example, that light which I have been put up there, it shows 9 watt. It consumes 9 watt, but the output in terms of light or the lumens is almost same as 900 lumens. That means with the same wattage input or the smaller wattage input, I get a room filled up with a light. So my consumption reduces. So this is how we have to, whatever we have in hand, we have to use, we have to tap. Similarly, we can use for, say for example, nowadays we get solar panels for charging our batteries, that can be used, or by charging our phone, that can be used, or can be used for connecting our radios or like that. This is why we can reduce our consumption. If we, as Ajit Chana has told us, if it is 300 or less, we get the benefit. If it goes more, then we have the higher rate of tariff.
Thank you, Mr. Joshi. See, government, from the angle of saving the electricity, as I mentioned, because the fossil fuels have a limited life. So, from the long-term angle, they have said, how to reduce consumption. So, one of this one is, as is mentioned, LED bulbs. And what government has done is, there is an organization called Energy Efficiency Services Limited, which is a government organization. They have started distributing these LED bulbs at a controlled rate. The same bulb, if you want to buy, so these are 9 watt bulbs which we got this one. If you want this bulb, it will cost you somewhere around 200 to 250 rupees in the open market, the good quality bulb. Chinese ones are available cheaper, but not this one. But they are selling it at 70 rupees per bulb, and it is available per person. About 10 bulbs are available per person. You can buy, from them. Mumbai Graha Panchayat, we arranged yesterday a distribution. This one, you can get tube lights which normally is available for about 750 rupees LED. Okay, it is available at the rate of 220 rupees. Okay, and the fans, which are again better this quality fans are available at 1200 rupees. So you get about 10 lamps, 4 tube lights and 1 fan. That much they supply you ESL. Now as per the earlier procedure set by the government, they were supposed to be supplied through your distribution agency, whosoever is your Reliance or Tata's and all that, but BST said that they were unable to this one. Reliance and all that have been doing it, but haphazardly. But you can directly contact them, ESL. They will give you the name of the dealer, and to them you can purchase this. So that will help you in controlling your this. The advantage of LED also, it has a very long life. Okay, compared to a normal filament bulb, which can last you for about 3 to 4 months. This can last you for years. You don't know, unless the electronic circuiting that goes there. Yeah. So it can last for lifetime sort of, that is the. So this is what you can do, and
so what is the procedure you said to get it, and how come Graf Panchayat was doing it? So you all represented them and
no, we only acted as facilitators.
So
what we did was, we told them that we would like to do it for that our area, and then they came and said, one day we decided that day, this thing we told the people saying that day they are available. So they came there with their stocks. They told their dealer, they have dealers. So the dealer comes with that, and then you just.
So what is the process of ensuring that a person doesn't go repeatedly and take it?
Today they ask for Aadhaar card. So today, yes. So they take it so that they have the record that you have bought it. Okay. First, in fact, we had said electricity bill. That's what we had said. But they said Aadhaar card. So we said, okay, we didn't object to that. What is controllable, as I said, that is, look at the ones which are consuming more than 1000 watts. So these are the ones which are the guzzlers, sort of electricity guzzlers, that is we see. And basically these are all related to the heating. Where the heating is there, you will find that the consumption is high. So it will be the fridge, okay, which is cooling, this thing, the AC, which is this thing, geyser. See, these are all which are more than 1000 watts, that is 1 kilowatt. So these are the ones which you have to control. Lights and all that, even if you this thing, in fact, Yogesh was talking to me that he has changed all the this thing, lamps to LED, but he hasn't got much benefit, because depends upon how much is the total. Maybe here in an organization like where you have the lights going on for the whole day, okay, and so many in an office and all that, it makes a lot of difference. In the house it may not make that much of a difference with bulbs and all that, but in the house what we have to mainly look at is which are the high consumption ones, and this is where we will have to control. So especially AC, because that's why the point which I mentioned was, have the thermostat, this thing, the timer set so that at 3 o'clock in the night it goes off, and then because normally that time it has cooled down, the outside temperature also comes down, and then maybe till about 6 o'clock and all that, it's okay. So that is one way of controlling your this. Thank you.
Thank you.